she came out from behind the tree. I don't know if it startled her or whatever, but the person that I was on the video chat with, like, he saw it, and he was like, there was a Sasquatch. I was like, I know. Did you see the pretty lightning? And he was just like, no. He was like, there was a Sasquatch standing there, and I was like, I know, but I was looking at the lightning. I was like, she's been standing there for a minute. I was like, yeah. And he was like, no. And he was like, I didn't think that you meant that they were like that close.
Well, tonight we were going to have an Alabama Bigfoot guest on, the first ever one. I was pretty excited about it, but family emergencies happen, and I understand it, and then he'll be back, and he's going to have a great show with us. But instead, we're going to East Tennessee to talk about some Bigfoot with Miss Sonya Mynatt from up there just above Knoxville. Now, East Tennessee and Alabama, I guess the part of Alabama I live in, northeast, very similar. I go up there all the time for pancakes. I go up there to see the bear and stay for a couple days on a long weekend. Not a big fan of the football team, not a big Blaze Orange fan. But other than that, that part of the country is near and dear to me. I love it up there. I love the terrain, love the people. Except when it's 3rd and 10 and Hendon Hooker's got the ball. But that's not the point of this podcast. It's not the point. I'm not going to talk football. I invite everyone to go to bobbydizzle.com. You'll see it on your screen. Join the Facebook group. Share with your friends, all ways to watch and listen. So enough about me. Let's get to this episode. Miss Sonya Mynatt, East Tennessee. This is a fun one. We did it a few weeks ago. Our friend Glenn, the Sport Cat's on it. So without further ado, let's talk about East Tennessee Bigfoot, folks. How about it? All right, we are here with Sonya Mynatt, not to be confused with the other Sonya. She's from East Tennessee. She not cohabitates. That sounds like you live with Bigfoot. There's Bigfoot on her property. She lives next to a pretty mountain, and she one with nature. Know what I'm saying? Transcendentalism. And Glenn Sport Cat Jackson.
That's me.
In the house because they are cousins. They're not currently dating. They've broken up for a minute, but we got them together. Oh. Anyway, Bigfoot with East Tennessee. I met Sonya. Yeah, I met Sonya.
I was going to say Kentucky, but
yeah. Like we've already met. We're already friends here. But I was going to start kind of backwards since I've heard your story, and I'm sure we'll fill in with a conversation. Try not to be like, so what was the first time you saw eyes in the woods, Sonya? I'm going to start with my patented selfish question. Yeah. I'm just going to start. I'm going to be like, what I want to know.
So.
Yeah. Since I can't offend you in like the way I would like somebody I just met, I want to ask, like, what is the average? I mean, let me flesh it out here. And I've been thinking about this all day because I was like, what should I ask? Because I know her, so to speak, and it's not going to be like a person that's insulting their research or something. Like in my mind, when I think of if I lived in a property, like I grew up in the woods, similar to a place you did next to a mountain. And if I lived with the Bigfoot and they were there, in my mind, I would think that I walk outside and I could say a certain, I get my mind right. Like, hello, friends. It's me. And in my mind, they would walk out. I would see 2 or 3 of them. I would offer them an apple. And they would, for some reason, have Native American face paint on. I don't know why. It may be, but in the tip, and you see them, and they give you an apple, and they bring you like a bush that they found, and then you see them. Like when you see them, in my mind, they're there like you're seeing gorillas at the zoo. But what's it really like when you encounter them, like in a daily, like in an average encounter in the backyard? If you're just like out there doing some work and one walks up, or you're hiking through the woods, what is an average one like to see somebody in your position?
Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by average? Like, what's the average encounter like? I mean, it's almost the way you described without the Indian war paint and whatnot.
Yeah,
but like,
for some reason, I want them to have Native American war paint.
Racist.
Terribly.
It's like So there's different ones. Like during the day, when I'm out during the day, there's certain ones that are out there that are always out there, usually during the day, if it's daylight, there's ones that are out there all the time, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like it's just like that. They're out there all the time. So when I'm outside, they're out there. And when it's really hot like this, sometimes they don't come out during the day as much
Mm-hmm.
because it's so muggy and stuff. They stay in the mountains, but at nighttime they're more active at night. They'll come down or whatever. But I mean, it's just like that. I mean, I leave them gifts during the day and they come down. I have one of them, and she's probably the one I guess I would say that I would interact the most with because she's a watcher. She sits in the woods and watches. That's what she does. She's got like there's a point on the hill up here where you can see all the roads coming in and out of the place, and that's where she sits. And and it's really funny because she sits up there too because like you'll find
Mm-hmm.
like pieces of bark where something's just sat there and took the piece of bark and just like strung it into little bitty shreds, and it'll be a whole little pile there. It'll be like wood chips,
Mm-hmm.
and or sticks. There'll be like a bunch of sticks right there where she sits there all day long and like breaks sticks. But I'll go out like during the day when I go feed the chickens and stuff. I'll grab some eggs out of the coop and I'll take them out in the woods and give them to her. So I mean, it's a it's a all the it's like an all the time occurrence. So it's nothing. It's really hard to like be vague about like just inexperience or
Yeah.
whatever.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what that
But
stems from.
like we exchange
Mm-hmm.
gifts like that, and they do. They
Yeah.
come out and they come out at night a lot. And if you're out here at night in the summer with me, especially if they love parties, they love when we throw parties. They're always out here if there's a lot of activity going on at night. Like a lot of them will come out. But um, yeah, we've had, and what's really cool is recently, we've had the lightning bugs. The lightning bugs up here have been going crazy. There's a couple places in the world where the lightning bugs will synchronize, and
Mm-hmm.
our property is one of those places. Like, and it is wild to see. It literally looks like it doesn't even look real. It looks like Christmas lights, like blinking all together in patterns and rows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. But like on certain nights like that, when you're out in the woods like that, it is so magical to be out in the woods and know that they're out there. And then you have the lightning bugs, and kind of like it's a really cool experience. I don't know. It's really cool to live out here.
I'll tell you where it stems from. I talk to a lot of people who claim to live with them, and they send me they send me evidence. We talked? What was the last one? The pictures. You just don't get the pictures, and that's what it frustrates me. Even though I know why through my research, I know I know why. I just wanted to know what it like. How often is what I call the full frontal sighting? Like that's not. I mean that's I'm looking at a Bigfoot like with my eyes, no doubt. There it is, 10 foot away, 20 yards maybe.
Well, to honest to God, it depends on how good your night vision is. Because if your night vision's good, you could have a full frontal like night vision all the time because they'll be right in front of you at night. They'll
Or
stand
class
across
A.
the creek, which is like I don't know, 10 feet.
Yeah,
You know,
just
you stand 10 feet from each other in the dark as long as your night vision's pretty well. Which I mean, your eyes will adjust in the dark as long as
oh yeah,
if you go out in it a lot.
especially if the moon's out
And
a little bit.
you're right, and during the day, I mean, besides the watcher, and she's never just now. Every now and then, I've been on video chat with somebody where um, there was a storm coming in, and I was standing there. I was sitting by my window, and I was like, you know what? I was like, it's about to start to hail. I was like, I could feel the pressure change and everything. I could smell it. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting at the window, and I was like, and I turned the phone around, and I was like, the storm's coming. And about the time I turned the phone around, it started to hail, and I was like, woohoo! I was like, I knew it. I knew it was going to start hailing. I just knew it. And about that time, the watcher, the one that sits in the woods out there, she was standing there. She had come down. I'd watched her
Mm-hmm.
come down, but I didn't think on the phone that you'd be able to see that far. But lightning struck and thunder struck at the same time. It was wild. It was just like boom, like right behind each other. And she came out from behind the tree. I don't know if it startled her or whatever, but the person that I was on the video chat with, like, he saw it, and he was like, there was a Sasquatch. I was like, I know. Did you see the pretty lightning? And he was just like, no. He was like, there was a Sasquatch standing there, and I was like, I know, but I was looking at the lightning. I was like, she's been standing there for a minute. I was like, yeah. And he was like, no. And he's like, I didn't think that you meant that they were like that close. And I was like, yeah. I was like, she's always out there. I was like, she's probably mad because she, and I didn't realize this at the time. Like later on when I was telling the story over, I realized I just came from the chicken coop right before the storm hit because I thought I need to go out and feed the chickens before the storm because otherwise nobody's going to feed them. And she watched me go to the chicken coop, and I didn't stop by the woods and drop off some eggs. So I think she was mad. So I think she saw me sitting out the window. So she came down to like say, hey, I saw you at the chicken coop. You know, you didn't bring me anything.
Did you forget me?
She's standing there in the lightning like a stalker outside. Just
well, she was doing the, you know, and that's that. Hey, I'm waiting. You know, it's that like not. I wouldn't say agitated, but it's that like excitement. You know, hey, are you going to bring me something? And she'd been doing that, and that's why I didn't think that he, like the person on the phone, I didn't think that the phone would be able to see it anyway, but it's only like 30 yards from my window to the woodline. And maybe not even that. And right, it's not that far. But when the lightning and the thunder struck like that, she stepped out from behind the tree, and I saw her step out from behind the tree because I was looking up at the sky because the lightning was pretty. And I was right about the hailing. My ego was all like, oh, look at me being right about the hail.
James Spann over here. Got a weather.
I was just like, I just know that they're there all the time, so I guess it wasn't a big deal to me. But this person also does a lot of encounters and goes out in the woods a lot, and I didn't realize that this person that I was on the phone with had never seen a Bigfoot. So, and he does his own podcast and stuff too. So it was I just didn't know he had never seen one live, like face to face. And he was freaking out. And I've
never seen one. Of course, I don't really base my whole ego on it though.
Trying to find the Buc-ee's.
Like,
yeah. Some people look like Bigfoots at Buc-ee's.
No, they don't even have Mountain Dew at the Buc-ee's here. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay. Anywho, whatever.
Embrace the squirt.
I think we had this conversation. Yeah,
I know we did, and we'll have it again.
I love squirt. So
look, squirt is where it's at. I'm just saying, you get Mountain Dew anywhere. I mean, we're from the same place. We're 3.5 hours away from each other. I could be there before.
I'm not gonna lie. When I stop at stores, like I carry a cooler in my car with ice in it, with Mountain Dews in it, because I'm not gonna spend that kind of money on Mountain Dews. I could just keep in the car when I have a 24 pack at home. I mean, that's so silly. So I wasn't going to buy Mountain Dew anyway. I'm just making an excuse to not want to have to go in Buc-ee's. It seems so.
Why would one not want to go in Buc-ee's?
Thank you.
I don't understand.
There's a lot of people in there. Like, I'm a medium and an empath, and it's really hard to go into like a place where there's that many different kind of people in it at one time. You know?
Can you hear him talking to himself? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and you get a lot of, like, people are aggravated about being in the car. Do you know how aggravating it is to be on a road trip with your family and you're trying to keep it together in the store and act happy? That is so awful. So that whole fake persona.
I've often put myself in their shoes because when I go to Buc-ee's, the trip is about Buc-ee's. I'm not on a trip and stop at Buc-ee's. My trip is Buc-ee's.
Right. Okay. Well, see, no, you're excited. It would be cool if people were... You know, I guess in a way that, you know, everybody's kind of excited to be at Buc-ee's, but then there's all that underlying, like, emotion about, like, having to go back to the car after leaving Buc-ee's, which is, that's a real high wave there.
And some of them, since it's on I-65 and, you know, you're up there on 75 or 40, it's like they're all mad Yankees coming from God knows where. And so they're just, like, already pissed off before they even left the house. Like, oh, yeah, look at the big beaver there. Look, Marge.
And, well, I'm going to tell you right now, 40 is nothing to mess with right now. Our stretch of 40 has some holes in it that there's one part of it between Gatlinburg and Knoxville. There is a hole so big in 40 that people are flattening it. They'll hit it and flatten their tires. There's always a row of cars right there, like, where people have hit it and had to, like, leave their car, you know? And it's always like, and they've reported it, but it's still there. They've tried to patch it, but it keeps walking out.
Like I-40 I've never seen nothing like it. Like it's the weirdest highway.
And it runs from one side of the nation to the other. And I've went from all the way from LA, California, all the way to Raleigh. And that's it took 35 hours straight driving just to get to LA to Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
The stretch of 65 between Coleman and Birmingham.
Nice.
40 and 65 are about the same, I believe.
Like we went on vacation for a couple of weeks. We went in an RV, like a 1979 Dodge conversion van, you know. It was like and right before we left Knoxville in it, we just bought it right before we left Knoxville, it was going on like a 2-week adventure. Right before we left Knoxville, we had to cut the exhaust pipe off because something happened. I don't remember. Either way, we had to straight pipe it. So it sounded so wonderful going across the country in it. You should have seen us driving through Hollywood in it. People were like, what the?
Yeah, I bet that was a peach.
They were like, these people don't care about emissions at all. Like, not us. No, sorry. We look like the true blue hillbillies.
I was going to say, for a second, I thought you meant Hollywood, Alabama, kind of down where I grew up. I was like, you would have fit.
Yeah, lower Alabama.
You'd have fit right in Hollywood. I know. The county I grew up in has a little town called Hollywood. It's where I went. It's where I went to elementary school.
That's
and,
that's.
You said Hollywood and straight pipes. I'm like, that wouldn't have made a difference. Would have made a difference with the straight pipes in Hollywood, Alabama.
Yeah, nobody would
fit right in.
Yeah. There's somebody in that same van straight piped right now. Guarantee it.
People trying to buy it. Hey, you want to sell that thing?
Speaking of back home, I just came from there. I go there every Sunday. I just found out that there's a guy in Flat Rock, which is just across the river from where I grew up, who has like the same situation you do with the Bigfoots on his place. And I'm trying to, lack of a better word, hook up with him and get up there and do an in-person Bigfoot. I was like, what? I said, that is on the way.
Yeah, that's yeah, you know, and he's probably got portals. He's probably got portals on his property, you know. There's a high energy area.
Terrifying.
Well, you can't go in. Okay. You can't go in all scared. The thing is like to see them, it takes a while. It takes a while for them to know that you're not scared. I mean, not that I don't get creeped out sometimes, because I've seen some things in the woods that weren't just Bigfoot and weren't just dogmen or the Wampus cat. Like I've seen a rake before, and those things will creep you out because you don't know. Like the way it looked at me, like it had a mission, but it like it didn't have time to mess with me. Like it wanted to, but it didn't have time.
Mm-hmm. It was like the predator.
I don't know how to explain it. Like it was weird. And my friend, when I looked over, I wasn't driving the car. I was in the car with the friend. Sorry, my dogs are acting up. And when I was like, I turned to tell my friend, I was like, did you, because we both said, did you see that? What is that? And I turned to be like, what was that? And when I turned, she's just staring at me. And she's like, why do I always see the weirdest stuff when I'm with you, Sonya? And I was like, I don't, what do you mean? Because it was like, what was weird I saw the Wampus cat with her daughter. And then I showed her Bigfoot. Like she came to the house and I was standing outside and I was standing in the yard. She stopped and got out of the car and come over there. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, looking at Bigfoot. I said, do you want to see Bigfoot? And she was like, what? And I was like, I said, I'm looking at, I was making eyes with one of the Sasquatches, basically. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, look right there. She's like, what is that? And I said, that's a Sasquatch. And she said, that's not Bigfoot. And she went, like this. And it went
to
her. And she went, what was that? What is that? What is that, Sonya? What is that? And I was like, that's Sasquatch. She was like, just all kinds. And I forget, like, and she didn't ask to see Sasquatch. These aren't really people who come up here to ask. She just come over and asked me what I was looking at. I should have just said, do you want to see Sasquatch? And she should let her time to answer, not like, look up there. Like, because I've tried, like, I realize that now, like, you could traumatize people. And I have traumatized many people because they seem to think that, like, maybe I am one of those people. Maybe they just don't notice stuff. And I'm like, what is that? And I make everybody look at it. I don't know. Maybe people are just oblivious, or maybe cryptids
like Arlie Ermy. What is that? What the fuck is that?
What is that? I mean, when I saw the Wampus cat, Well, I saw the Wampus cat with her daughter. I was telling you about that. And like when we saw her, or when we saw it, she had seen it. It had been standing above us in the woods for like 10 minutes before she had ever said anything. Like she had gotten all freaked out and stood behind me. Everything was fine. And she was just scanning the woods with the flashlight. And I was feeding the pigs. And she kind of just, her tone changed and everything. And she got behind me and turned her flashlight off. And I was like, she was like, can we go? Can we go in the house? Can we go in? And I was like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just want to go in. I just want to sit down. And I was like, okay, well, I'm almost done. She's like, can we go now? And I was like, I'm almost done. What's wrong? I said, do you hear that noise? Because he was still making noises. It was like chattering and whistling. And it sounded like somebody was talking. It was really weird. But it was sounded like it was all around you, like you were hearing voices all around you. Or like you were at the park, sitting in the middle of the park listening to all the kids laugh. That's kind of what it sounded like. It was wild. But like she got behind me and was just wanting to go in, and I was just like, yeah. And I was like, all right. And I dumped the rest of the pig bucket out, and I was like, let me see your flashlight. And because she turned it off and was standing behind me, and which is weird because I told her, like, if you really want to get around on the property without anything knowing where you are, you need to learn how to get around without a flashlight. I was like, because once you turn the flashlight on, everything knows where you are. I didn't realize that till after. That's why she turned the flashlight off and got behind me, because she was like, maybe it won't see me. And but she saw it and she got behind me, and that's why she was wanting to go in, but she didn't say anything to me. And when she threw me the flashlight, I just turned around and scanned the woods where I was hearing some of the main noises. And because I had all my dogs out there, I have little dogs, and they were all out there with me. They weren't bothered. She didn't bother them. One of my dogs sat there with her. He ran away with her when she took off, but she was just sitting there, and I said, what the fuck is that? And I was like, hello, do you see that? And she wouldn't say anything. And I was like, hello, do you see that? And she was like, yeah, I see it. And just got like an attitude. And like, I didn't,
get pissy about it.
Like, I know, like, for me, I'm like, okay, I was like, I need you to describe to me what you see. Like, immediately, tell me, because I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. Because, it took me, which I've had a lot of people with me with Bigfoot, but like for Bigfoot to show themselves, we always heard it around the woods with friends and stuff, but they would never show themselves to like a bunch of people like that. Maybe at night, and maybe if it's just a couple of us, 2 or 3 of us, but never like, when I've been in a big group of people, we'd always hear stuff, but never knew what it was, but this was like sitting there for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, while I was still emptying out the pig bucket, and she was complaining about wanting to go inside. And I was just like, she was like, yeah, it's been standing there for about 10 minutes. And I was just like, what? And you didn't say a word about it? Like, why would you not say something? Why would you not be like, hello, there's a monster in the woods. Hello. But also,
do me a favor and humor me and describe what that Wampus cat looked like. You told me in Glenn's show, but you don't have to go in great detail, but just
she was like, okay, so she, well, like, and I'm not even sure again that she's not a dog man, but I've seen a dog man out here too in the next county over, and it looked like a werewolf. When I saw it, and there was 4 people in the car, it was me and 3 other people, and we all saw a werewolf, and at the time I thought it was a werewolf, but now I know it's a dog man. I know those are different. I think. But the Wampus cat, she's got big green eyes. She's got long, like, brown hair. She's got big ears in the front. Her face looks like almost like between like a dog and a lion. I know it's like hard to describe, but she looks like almost like those old Egyptian cats, or like almost like a hairless cat. But she's got like long hair, like regular hair. She's got a long fluffy tail. Her skin, she's got hair, but it's like, it's so fine that it looks like she's wearing a leotard almost. And she's got 2 breasts and a very feminine, very like almost woman-like body, if you can imagine, just like a woman in a thin leotard. She's very dainty.
I'm not asking this for inappropriate purposes, but was she naked like an animal would be naked?
She didn't have clothes on. She had fur, but she had 2 boobs, but they weren't like boobs. They were like fur. but she didn't have like a row of tits like you would think like
like a kid.
She only had 2 arms. She had 2 arms. That she had hands. She had 2 arms and hands. Like they were cat-like, but they were like hands. And again, her skin was a different pattern than her. Like it was like a pattern almost, like a brown and grayish pattern. And she, like I said, she was very feminine, very woman-like. Her leg went all the way down into her ankle. She had a human-like ankle, which is weird. I had been finding footprints, which I had chalked up to being a juvenile Sasquatch because of how small they were and how they looked. And then I started thinking maybe it was a bear, and it was doing the, bears will make a paw and then they'll drag and it'll make it could have been a small bear. And because I was just finding these different footprints, and I've got a picture of one, and I posted it under thinking it was Bigfoot. And the more I think about it, like I was looking back at the Google date on it. It's the same time the Wampus cat was around, and I'm pretty sure it's a Wampus cat. But she's got a human-like ankle and a cat-like. It goes into like the bottom of the foot is like cat-like. She didn't have any extra legs or anything like that, but she did have a long, fluffy like tail. It was the same color as her hair. She was a beautiful creature. She was beautiful. Like I wasn't scared. I just I did scream, "What the F is that?" And I'm sure, that's the rudest thing in the world to be saying to something, that can feel that, because that's just no different than walking up to somebody at the grocery store that just looks different and saying, what the F is that? It's no different. Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, Glenn, be sensitive. Wampus cats have big, Glenn.
Listen here, boy.
Yeah. Don't let me come down there.
But we're so used to not like, and I guess I know Sasquatches are out there, and I know aliens are out there. I've seen those things, orbs, spirits, ghosts. I've seen all those things. I just never. At that point, this was only a few years ago. I went through a lot of depression, so I didn't watch a lot of like new documentaries about the cryptids or the monster shows. I hadn't been watching them. Like I didn't need to. I'd been doing my own kind of research in the woods with Bigfoot, and that was I guess I was just blinded because I saw her, and it was just I'd never seen anything like that before. Because my mom even asked me later on, she goes, "Do you think it was an alien?" No, because 2 nights after the first time I'd seen her, it took me 2 days. It took me 2 days to just get on the internet and Google, cat-like creatures in East Tennessee. That's what I did. And I found all the information I needed. And there's been plenty of people who describe to a T what I seen. And the chattering, the whistling, all the noises and stuff, it was other people had seen it too, A lot of people have chalked it up to being a Black Panther. No, we have those too. TWRA will argue with that, but
yes, they will.
And they'll also want you to grab a picture of a black cat when it comes around at night to feed, and it's really hard, even with good game game trail cameras, which we can't keep up around here. They will not stay, or they'll be moved.
What if
the Black Panther
is? What if the Black Panther's using the same? What if it actually is a cryptid?
Okay, so the Black Panther is just a shapeshifter or whatever. I don't know, but funny is back in the day, my great grandmother, she used to talk about the big gray thing, and the big gray thing, that's what they used to call it, in the Halls area, and that's where mine and Glenn's family's from. That's why we're cousins. So they used to call it the big gray thing, and people would talk about seeing it all the time, but they used to talk about the Black Panthers. They would talk about there's certain nights in the holler, in the beginning of summer, that you didn't go outside. The kids didn't go outside. They said the Black Panthers were coming through. And those same times that everybody said the Black Panthers were coming through, everybody also said they would see the big gray thing, And I'm not convinced that that's not exactly what that was. It wasn't the big cats at all. It was just the big gray thing coming through. Or maybe they were following each other, because they come down out of the mountains, after, a certain time. During the really cold months, they go up in the mountains, which, they go out somewhere.
They could hunt together, I guess. Kind of like coyotes. In a sense.
I think they were using the big cats were. I mean, if they know people don't go after the big cats or whatever, if they follow just enough behind them that they can, it would mask their trail, you know, if they were out in the woods, so things didn't run into each other. You know?
I mean, if an entity
and
can take what'd you say, the shapeshifter possibly? I mean, if an entity can take a form of anything at once, Black Panther is pretty versatile.
I've seen so much stuff that nothing would surprise me. Well, I can't say that. Things surprise me, but nothing is beyond my you know, open-mindedness. Like, I can't say that it wasn't, but I've seen a Black Panther out here, and it took down a couple of my goats. That's why I know there's a Black Panther out here. Totally different creature than the Wampus cat. And she didn't bother my dogs. Like I said, I had my little dogs. I have chihuahuas and stuff. And they were all outside with me that night, you know, and she was petting one of my dogs. My one dog had sat down beside her, and she was petting it. And that was just something like, you know, and I even told my friend, I was like, you know, I didn't know she was having like a traumatic moment. She was really having a moment where she was like questioning all kinds of reality, because not only that she'd been coming up here a while, not only had I already showed her Bigfoot, I showed her mom Bigfoot, but I'd also showed her the lights in the sky, you know, because they, like, I know when the lights in the sky are up there, like, there's certain ones that'll stop and hover and they'll move, you know, in different directions. That's why, you know, they're not satellites. But I'll know when they're out there. Like I can hear them, and I want to say like I can hear them, but like internally hear them. I can hear them in my head when they're out there. So I showed her them too. And then right after that, it wasn't probably 2 weeks after that, here's a creature I had never seen, and that we're both seeing at the same time, that I don't know what it is. And I'm sure that me not knowing what that was probably freaked her out more, because, you know, I know what Sasquatch is and I know what this is. So I'm sure that she was having a traumatic experience, but, you know, I was like, do you see that? And I was like, it's petting my dog. It's petting our dog. It's petting Wonka. And she was just like, yeah. I see it. Can we go in now? Can we go in? And she just kept repeating, can we go in? Can we please go in? And I refused to go. She wouldn't. She was frozen in fear, but I was just like, I was frozen in time. She sat there, the Wampus cat thing sat there, and I hate to keep calling her that because I feel like she has a name. It sounds unclassy.
Wampus cat sounds kind of mean. Sounds kind of, look at you,
Wampus cat. Right? Like, thank you. As I'm saying that, like, I can feel that. Yeah. But she was gorgeous, and I have to find something nicer to call her. Like, I don't know, but like, she sat there for like 10 minutes. Can't get. I was in shock. I didn't think so. But like a couple nights later, after like I said, like after I'd come to terms with, I had to process it, you know what I mean? And I was like, why don't I just get on Google and just see what I can find? And like I said, I just typed in cat-like creatures in East Tennessee, and it came right up, and boom. And so that night, which is crazy because I was sitting there and I was just like, wow, that makes two things that I know are in these woods. So what else is out here? Plus the orbs and the lights in the sky, and the property itself out here is just, it makes you like try to heal your inner traumas. And I don't know how to put that, but I don't know if it's just the time out here in the country or being reconnected with nature is trying to make you ground and make you reset yourself, you know?
Do you have well water?
It'll make, we do.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up on it as well. No pun intended.
I have a bunch of springs. Sorry. What?
It's okay. I'm thinking out loud here. I'm just wondering.
Well, I got a bunch of spring. I have a spring-fed creek in front of my place too, right in front of my front yard.
I love some good
It's a pretty big
water.
creek. It's not. And yeah, so we have the well water and the spring water. Lots of caverns, lots of sinkholes around here.
I'm just trying to think. I've talked to many people who've experienced. There's this picture of this Wampus cat on here. Many people that like had said to have experienced abductions and whatnot, and they like to talk about the what's the word, pineal gland, with the fluoride and everything. Yeah, I grew up on
that's true.
I grew up on the well water, just like you. I was out on the ridge next to the caves and stuff. And I'm trying to picture myself back then how I thought. And I was always the one, like when somebody would say there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no such thing as Bigfoot, I would always think like, that's no fun. Like, what do you mean there's no such thing? Why would you say that? And like something in my mind knew it was there. Like I can feel like, I feel like I'm leading up to doing this podcast, having a Richard Dreyfuss-like experience on the end of Close Encounters, but with a Bigfoot. Like they're just going to embrace me and they'll love me. And that's why I do this show. And I'm always like really accepting, hoping there's some kind of neural network between them that they all know. That's the guy that always talks about us.
I believe I believe that 100%. Like I said, I'm a psychic and a medium. And when I'm out in the woods, I can hear them. Like I've learned now, like you go outside, you get thoughts in your head all the time, like I can be sitting in bed and I can get the thought, like all of a sudden, like I'll get the urge to want to just get up and take food out to the woods. Like it's not me thinking that. Like I'm watching a show, I'm lazy. I'm not going to lie. I know that's not me that's thinking that. I know, but why would I get that certain urge to want to jump up and take food out to the woods? Because it's not for me. It's for them. And I know one of them sitting at the woods, and I know they're doing it. And they're like, Sonya, hey, bring us a snack, and I know they do that. Like, I know that now. Like, I've been doing a lot of training and a lot of focusing, a lot of shadow work, a lot of, things trying to ground myself. I've started, like you said, opening up your pineal gland. That's something that I've been trying to do. I drink a lot of Mountain Dew and the caffeine, and I shouldn't do that. And that.
Man, I did too. What? That's fucking me up. Oh no, it's reversing the well water. I could be just like you.
I don't think it's gonna do that. Like I soak in the creek. I walk around barefoot, all that good stuff. I've been sun gazing too. That's something that I've started. But with all of this stuff that I've started doing, all of it's become stronger. Like I think that's why, like the day that I was on the phone with that person, and I was so happy that I knew it was going to hail, because I knew like 15 minutes before, like it was going to hail. Like I knew it was going to hail, and it makes me feel like I've got that connection with the weather, and it's making me feel like the work that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because we're like, even if I'm a starseed or whatever, like I'm still in this human body, so I still want to like proceed with like a rewards program. We have to reward ourselves. Now that's part of like, it's just part of the human, like, I think, I don't know, some people say it's part of the ego, but I think it's just part of the human experience. We just like shiny stuff, and we like rewarding ourselves with good behavior and good things.
Mountain Dew.
We like,
yeah, I like Mountain Dew.
Validation. I like Mountain Dew.
I'm a big fan myself. I had to stop drinking it. I was killing myself.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
I've often wondered if I wasn't wasting my time trying to pursue this road. Like we're not supposed to do it, and it's kind of like, don't look over here. Kind of like you're looking backstage at a concert, trying to figure out how they get how Garth Brooks gets under the stage, and you really should just be enjoying the show. Like I worry that I'm trying too hard, but then I'm like, there's a reason it was planted in me as something I was fascinated with since I was little. And so
it's people like you. We're in an energy shift. We are in an age. We're in the age of Aquarius. We're in the age of truth. The last few times that we have come into like the age of Aquarius, which means where our universe is in the solar system, right? So the last few times that great nations have fallen has always been in the age of Aquarius. And we're only in the age of Aquarius in those times for a couple of thousands of years or whatever. So it'll be like, there'll be a great nation, a couple thousand years will go by and the civilization kind of disappears. Well, we're in that age again. But the difference is this time, instead of just being in the age of Aquarius for a couple thousand years, we're going to be in it for 24,000 years. We're in the age of truth. We're going into a different energy shift, a different mindset of thinking, and not everybody gets to come with it. But those of us who believe above what we've been told will get to go, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I was reading up on it.
Those of us who have those connections to those things in the woods, they're there to help guide us. I mean, let's say if the banks got shut down and we couldn't get groceries and stuff right now, don't you think if we have those connections to those beings in the woods that they wouldn't try to help us survive and they wouldn't keep us alive? And I'm not solely convinced that that's not what helped a lot of the Cherokee survive in the woods when stuff went down with them. A lot of stories out there.
There's a lot of stories like that. Well, not about specifically
all the indigenous and the Great Nation.
Oh yeah, especially the Navajo. They had all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, and there had to be something, not that they didn't know how to survive out here, but I mean, we do know now that there are tunnels and caves and all kinds of things that these people use to survive. So
it makes you wonder if there wasn't a little bit of that going on during the Great Depression with some of the poor folks out in the hills.
The Appalachia, yeah.
Yeah, because they turned into that may be why they think everybody thinks they're Native American around here when half of them aren't. Me included.
Well, that's the thing about being you can watch even the Andy Griffith show and they talk about the witches in the hills, and the witches would go to church with them, but they were still witches and they would go and get their medicine and get their stuff and from their herbs and stuff from the witches, and they lived right along with them. I mean,
the mountain lore.
Yeah, it's true.
See a white horse.
It's funny. It was the Darlings, the Darlings on the Andy Griffith show. They came down out of the mountains and they were the ones talking about going to see the witch. Stop, Diggle. And they were the ones talking about seeing the witch. So, those are real country folks, they're not skittish, they bad omens, this and that. They were really superstitious, but so they got advice from witches, it was like, they lived in harmony. It wasn't like what you would think that people think. I'm sure I've been burned at the stake in a couple of my past lives because I never learned, but
you better come get that lady sheriff.
I mean, right before they was like, I think I've been here before. And I probably ran my mouth to the very end. That's probably what got me. And that, I'm learning patience now. That's something that I don't think I've had in a couple of my past lives where I could just shut up, not say a word.
I've often wondered about the past life thing, like what I did to be how I am now. Because sometimes I feel like I'm being punished in this life, and sometimes I feel like I'm actually having a pretty good time, and I can't tell the difference. I never know from day to day.
Well, if it's a reoccurring punishment for something that's sort of like a reoccurring thing with you, like if it's just something that you're doing that gets you down, that it's similar, with other things that you do that get you down like that. Maybe that's just a sign of something that you need to work on for this life, because everybody's here for a purpose. We're not only here, I think, to help each other, and I think a lot of us are here to help the human race, be more guided, because I think the reason why the aliens haven't shown themselves sooner is just like they're embarrassed. We should be embarrassed, acting this way as humans, but
what would they do if they showed up? Hey guys.
We would immediately start bashing heads in. That's exactly what we would do. I posted on my Facebook the other day something like, this guy said if E.T. had showed up, him and his friends would have killed E.T. with hammers for sure. Yeah, yes. I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking that's why aliens won't show themselves to certain people, because they know that they would immediately get because some people just can't handle that can't handle it. Even though the government, which we were right about that, has admitted that UFOs, they didn't just now admit, this is a follow-up to them admitting April 20th or April 28th of 2020, April 28th, 2020, they announced UFOs were real, and they had been dealings with them for years. And they admitted it then during the pandemic. And I guess they waited a few years and said, nobody said nothing.
Yeah, Nate Bargatze did a bit about it on his new special. He goes, so we got aliens now. No one cares.
Yeah, life's so rough that everybody was like, we know. We heard you during the pandemic, but we were too busy.
Somebody said, tell the aliens we'll call them fucking... We'll call them back. We got some shit going on right now.
We are probably the ghetto of the universe at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not the ghetto, or we're Are we the ghetto, or are we the like the next season of Fortnite about to change over and everybody's watching to see what it's going to be like?
Yeah.
I think we're pretty special when it comes to the. I think the reason they're keeping us down is we got something special going on and they don't want us to know it. I just don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, well they don't want us to evolve. That's the only. Okay, so there's a lot of like I'm in the burn scene. Okay, so the burn scene is Burning Man. You know, I don't know if you know about Burning Man. It's a big festival out in Black Rock, Nevada desert.
I do know what it is.
There's a lot of people. It's about being open, being free, being open-minded. It's
a good band.
I got banned from Burning Man. I tried to burn the man too early. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, see, they can play around about that. Well, you know, the first year my sister went, a man ran into the fire. Like, yeah, straight into it.
Did
in front of everybody. Selfish.
Get away from the bird. Get away from the man.
He's the worst kind of person. I hope he, you know.
He ran into it, like dead?
Dead. Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge fire. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
And everybody there is a vegan, so nobody could eat him. Hey, man, you should be avocado toast, man.
No. You know, and that, you know what's so funny? Like, you talk about them all being being like hippies and stuff, but we did like chop down a bunch of trees to build a giant effigy to burn. There is that.
Yeah. That bunch is full of hypocrisies. That's what they call them, hippies.
I'm sure we'll but anyway, like the point.
I'm gonna go one day.
Cheeseburgers around there. So.
I'm gonna go one day. That's my type of scene. Like slowly changing into it.
Well, don't you know we have local burns, right? Like we all have one in each state. There's smaller, and I like this. I haven't been to the big burn. I'm not like I've been out west a bunch of times, but I've never been to Burning Man. But I've been to a lot of the local burns.
Is Bonnaroo the burn in Tennessee?
There's one in Tennessee that I just did like last month called To the Moon. It is the best one. Everybody should come to.
I thought it might have been Bonnaroo.
Oh my God, no, we're not. That's a festival. This is a burn. They're different. You like to not see trash on the ground? You want to come to the burn. You bring everything that you need. It's radical self-reliance. So you just rely on all the stuff that you bring. And when you get there, there's a bunch of camps. They have theme camps for showers. They have theme camps for music. They have theme camps for food, bars. You know, as long as you have a wristband and your ID and stuff, you can drink for free. Dancing.
This podcast needs to kick off. I should do stuff like that.
Art. Yeah, and they have really cool art. Like the art is the art is the best part. Yeah, but I don't even remember where I was going with this. But it was the enlightenment part. So like there was a lot of people that I had a friend who worked for the government, and he worked for like I can't remember like exactly what the department was called, but he went over when like the government would announce stories. His department would go back over the stories and make sure that they announced everything properly, like what they were supposed to release, right? And make sure there was nothing left under, that they said it right, that it was released properly. That was what their job was. And he was talking about like, the part where like, why doesn't people said, why doesn't the government really, worry about people at the burns, or why is the government watching people, these burn scenes and these, these like rainbow kids and followers, stuff like that. Like, is the government watching them? And he said, yeah, they're definitely watching. And everybody was like, is it because of drugs? And they were like, no, it's not because of drugs. He goes, the government watches these big, massive things like this because they're afraid that these people will get too enlightened. They will be too smart and they will be too enlightened. And then they already know how to come and build a city with their bare hands for a weekend. They've already got the camping gear to stay there for a week. And if they work together, what could they do? That is dangerous to them. And he said, and that's why the government doesn't like these big, like massive gatherings of people that, support love and creation and, higher selves and, higher thinking.
They don't like anybody coming together. That's for sure.
They don't want you to ascend. And that's why, anytime you see anybody who's always preaching hope and love, that's not one of those evangelists or whatever, they usually don't make it that long. They're cursed. They don't.
Yeah, I heard a saying about that a couple of days ago. The ones that try that always get shot. JFK, Malcolm X, Gandhi.
Yeah, I mean, even people who did music, like look at Bob Marley. I mean, John Lennon, he wrote a lot of stuff about love and peace and bringing stuff together and higher selves and higher thinking. And all these people, imagine if there's one people. And they was like, no, John.
No.
Imagine if you couldn't sing that no more.
That's the reason they hate the fact whenever people like TikTok. I think that's the reason they hate TikTok, because people are coming together on there. And
Yeah,
like these racial divides they're trying to make, just TikTok, just like, well, there's no racial divides because everybody's cool with each other.
It's crazy how little
you can say boy on TikTok. So.
Say what?
So you can say boy on TikTok.
Yeah. You can't.
Maybe. Depends on which boy you're talking to.
Your account suspended for that.
Like, it's weird because we're sharing information. We're sharing how to do stuff. They also don't want us to be able to take care of ourselves. And
no, not at all.
Living, because when there's aspects of like living off the grid. No, they don't want you to do that at all, because then you know how to take care of yourself. Then you're just rogue. You could go rogue at any time. They don't know where you're at.
You're not dependent on them.
To them. You are a asset to the government because you are worth money. As long as you are of age to work and pay taxes, you are a asset to the government. They don't want. That's why it's illegal to kill yourself. You can't do that. You're worth money. We already put gold on your head for.
If all the blue collar workers in America stopped working, one day the world would come to a crashing halt.
Yep.
It's like, if everybody realized that they were worth, like, that they've already been, like we got off the gold standard a long time ago, so you don't have to have the gold. So like when we're borrowing money, what are we using when we're borrowing the money from? Like when we borrowed money from China, what did we use? Oh yeah, that's right. We used the people. The people as leverage.
Yep. And it's
our backs.
It's
our backs, our labor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's true.
When they want to come and collect, they can come and collect. But anyway, so
we're basically in the matrix already.
But so if you ended up having, the whole point is, if you ended up having to go into the woods and you're more enlightened, or you're more likely to know that these things are out there, they're more likely to help you if you needed them. I mean, for years, like a lot of things when I'm in the woods, a lot of the times, I always think the universe is guiding me. Of course, it doesn't mean that they're not helping. I would just get like, I collect bones and stuff like that and rocks. And I find all kinds of things in the woods all the time. And I don't know if they left them for me or they just told me where they were, and I would go right to them and get them. Because people are like, that's so crazy. I can go to the woods with you anytime and you always find the coolest stuff. And I was like, yeah, because I can hear something and go, hey, Sonya, come here. I got something for you. And I can literally hear that in my head. And I'm like, oh, and it'll be like, follow me. And I can follow it's like a wisp. I can follow it all the way to I found animal bones about like 98% of the time when I go out in the woods for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Did I tell you my turtle story?
The what?
My turtle story?
Maybe not.
With Randonautica. You know who Randonautica is?
No.
Okay, well, long story short, in 2020, they invented a thing that it did something with servers that found anomalies in a coordinate. I don't understand why, but you could type in, find me one within like 1,000 yards, within 10 miles, yada, yada, yada. It's like finding a Whataburger. Just find me one within a certain amount of space. And it would search all these servers around the world, and it would pinpoint it, and you would walk there. Well, I did it where I grew up, kind of on the farm where I grew up. And it took me about a mile and a half away. I was just walking. It was in the summer. Went into the middle of a bean field, and it went into a thicket. And in this thicket, it opened up. In the middle of the thicket, where the sun was shining, was a box turtle right in the middle of where it took me. And I don't understand what the hell that meant. But I'm like, this thing took me to a turtle. And they're like, well, so what? So what? I'm like, you don't understand. We walked a mile and a half with this app that told us that it's in, I think, Australia, to find a box turtle right where it pointed in the middle of a clearing. Like, what the? I'm like, nobody thought that was significant. I'm like, there's clearly an indication.
Well, I feel like maybe that's like a familiar to you. You should find out like the meanings across the world for turtles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
turtle may be your spirit animal.
Oh yeah, I love turtles.
Kind of have the shape of one, so.
Whoa. If I'm laying on my back, I do. But I used to collect turtles when I was little. I'd have all kinds of them in my sandbox.
I collect turtles. I still collect turtles.
I wondered because I was just the straight. Nobody thought it was weird. I'm like, you don't think that out of anything in the world that this app that took me to a turtle?
That's a sign. Like if those are signs, you know what I mean? Like other people will blow stuff off like that because they don't see the beauty and significance and stuff. They're like, oh, it's just a turtle. You know, I'm not saying that every time an animal crosses your path, it's a sign from the universe, but you know, there are signs like that. And I feel like that's a kind of a cool one.
Totally a sign.
If it was trying to tell you to slow down, or if it was trying to tell you, you know, just to be patient.
Yeah, like what you do is you have like an intention. And some people say like, I want to see the color red, or I think back then I used to think I was trying to get this show off the ground. So I think I would always think the perfect podcast guest or something. I don't know what I did that time, but it took me to a turtle. Like, right, I'm talking about if your quest in life was to find this turtle and you were Indiana Jones, it wouldn't have been set up any perfectly with it when the sun opened up in the middle of this thicket, in the middle of the woods, in the middle of an old plantation with a turtle right in the middle of it. I'm like, are you shitting me? What does this mean? What does it mean? All of a sudden I'm Jennifer Lawrence eating hot wings. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why is there a turtle?
Yeah, well, I understand that though, because it's just because
a box turtle nonetheless.
I mean, you could have picked up the turtle. It could have had a pattern on its shell that you missed. It could have had a sign.
I was looking at it. I was studying that damn turtle.
no glimpse.
$100 bill attached to it.
Well, you have a lot of runes too. You know, it could have had runes on it. You know, it'd be wild. You'd be surprised about the messages. Like, and sometimes the message. I think it's just like sometimes the universe will send you messages and just to see how smart you are, see how long you'll look, see how hard you'll look, see if you get it. And then if they know that you don't get like, you know, really like you don't see signs in that deep, they'll just send you like casual signs, easier signs to see.
I'm like the kid that gets a present and plays with the box. That's me.
It's like, all right, I don't know. I can't say anything because I love boxes and like trinket boxes and little things to keep stuff in. Like, yeah.
Universe sends you a turtle, immediately hospitalized with salmonella. Rude. All of a sudden I'm in intensive care. Thanks, Rando Nut. I'm reading this. What turtles important? Why sentences are important? Why are turtles important to Native American culture? Words are hard. It says the most tribes, the turtle also represents healing, wisdom, spirituality, health, safety, longevity, protection, and fertility. You know, I'm pretty fertile. Very fertile. I'm like the dark soil of the Midwest. I'm
Good
so
for
fertile.
you.
Yeah. I gotta keep the gun in the holster. You know what I'm saying? Go off. I'm like Doc Holliday doing that.
Pew pew.
With his cup. Remember Doc Holliday with a cup?
So
okay, I'm done with that.
So there's gotta be more like meanings to it. Like, you know, I'll look at like I got like you get on the Appalachian witch, you know. Everybody's got an answer for something on there. But maybe you're supposed to be
when you're in the Smokies. You're in the mountains of Appalachia and hear your name in the woods. Always stop and go toward it.
Always.
Yeah, especially when it's whistling.
Yeah, I go towards the whistles too. Like that's you know what? That was just something somebody created to keep you away from the Bigfoot, so you didn't bother them.
I was just joking. I thought you weren't supposed to.
You're not supposed to, but that was the reason. You know what I mean? You know, it just keeps people that are scared of things away, but it keeps those of us who are curious to wonder what the whistling come from. The Wampus cat's the whistler. the weird bird calls you hear at night are usually Bigfoot, though. They will do like really good bird calls, and then they'll do like the worst bird calls. Like it's like somebody like just trying to do a bird call, and it's so funny because they're trying to be funny, and it's
yeah. Hearing a cow on the beach, well, not on the beach, but down in Florida where there's no cows, and you're like, come on, try harder.
My guest last week said barn owls don't throw rocks. Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
No.
And you'll know the barn owls, like they'll, I don't know. Usually, like if they start making noises and stuff, and you like walk towards this and stuff, like that they'll stop. But like if you walk towards the Bigfoots, they'll start changing up the sounds. Like they'll start changing up the sound, whatever sound they're making. Different bird. Like
the craziest encounter I ever had, the thing was on the other side of the bush from me, and it was screaming it so loud with trying to get me to go the other direction. It was every bird I swear I've ever heard in my entire life, including birds from South America. Like, where'd you pull that one out of your ass? Come on, it was a cuckoo or a cockatoo or whatever,
People have like domestic birds and stuff, and like and they watch TV. I know these things. If you're connected with them, there's no doubt in my mind that they can't watch TV through us. If they can get into your head and you're watching something or reading something, they can hear it too.
That makes sense. I thought that was the biggest load of shit. When I heard about the owl thing, because my big thing when I get to drinking when I was younger was I got a really good owl call. Like it's good. I could win awards. And so whenever somebody sent me the first time I heard it, I was like, dude, that's an owl. Then all of a sudden you hear two big rocks hit a tin roof. I'm like, whoa, it's not an owl. And this wasn't the same guy from this week. This is when I started noticing similarities and stuff. Like, wait, what? That maybe? I mean, he could have thrown it, but the owls didn't stop after that happened. And it kept getting crazier.
Their bird calls are immaculate, and that's why like when they're just making weird bird calls. I mean, they'll almost cat call you. I don't know how to describe it. Like, just like poorly.
They will mess with you, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny too because it's just you don't expect that. Like you'll be like, why is there birds out this time of night? And it's always my first thought, and always my first thought is it's immediately Sasquatch because I never think that. Like immediately, it's always what was that? All right, and because you got to be really like if you're gonna call something out, you want to be really sure about what it is, and you can just stand there. But once the other bird calls start, it's
that's why I was always so bad at deer hunting. Because I would try so hard, but I was never like successful beyond. And other people would do the same thing I did and be really successful. I wonder if I'm just that'd be crazy if I was haunted by Sasquatch or not haunted, but my whole life, like I'm followed around.
That's funny. I say the same thing about fishing. I can be with somebody fishing and they're pulling in trophy-sized bass and I get a bluegill.
I was always pretty talented with fishing. I have kind of like a knack for it. Not that I'm not built to ants, but like fishing, I can figure out pretty quick what to catch where. I was always pretty good at it. And but hunting, I never was good at. I think it might have been because it was early. I can't say I was followed by Sasquatch. I just never went early.
Sounds can really scare the deer off.
Yeah. Well, I never heard anything.
Just you out there.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm being really extra with how bad I was. I just never went early enough and often enough. I enjoyed all the toys and the stuff that went with deer hunting, but the alarm clock was not my favorite hunting accessory.
Yeah,
I look really cool and all this camouflage I have, and this 4-wheeler is badass.
I mean, I go hunting, but I'd have to stay up all night. Let's just we're not late. I'm not going to get up in the morning. I'm just going to stay up all night. We'll just the night before. Yeah, we're just going to stay up because that's my favorite time. My favorite time of morning is right before the sun comes up in the woods. That's my favorite. But once the sun comes up, I'm aggravated. That's just I don't know. I'm like, especially if I've stayed up all night trying to get up that early. I was like, the sun comes up, I'm just immediately like.
I love when I'm up early and I can get up early, but I can't do it all the time. I want my mind says get up at 4:30 and go outside and walk because I live in a neighborhood, but it's rural all around it, And so there's deer and shit everywhere. And I think it's cool, but I just can't get up. I'm like, I don't want to move.
If I know I got to get up early in the morning, I have trouble. Like, I'll know, like, okay, well, if I need to be up at like 6 so I can be out by 8. And so the whole night I'm thinking that there's no way to sleep. It'll be 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, and about 4:30, you know, right when there's just not enough time to nap, I'll get sleepy right then. Yep. And there's about that time, there's no time to sleep. Oh, it's the aggravatingest.
If I ever have to get up early and it's like a random, like for an airport run or something, I'll be like, I'll sleep really light and wake up 10 minutes before the alarm. But if it's for work early, I don't get up. I'm not getting up. What, are they going to fire me?
If it's for something important that it's like I have to be there, like I won't hear my alarm. I won't hear my alarm. I'll incorporate my alarm sound into whatever I'm dreaming about. Like it's just part of the background noise in my dream now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't hear it at all. And I know subconsciously I'm doing that. And I'm like, God, it's the worst.
I have to set more than one alarm, and one of them has to be across the room. So I have to get my ass up and go across the room to turn it off. Well, otherwise, it's just going to keep going.
Like if I had
the third alarm, you will. So I'll set my phone, my iPad, the alarm clock.
The de-ass the bed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just not a morning person. I am not built for mornings.
If my mom's here, she'll come in here because the alarm will get it. She'll go in there and wake me up because the alarm will get on her nerves, you know, going on and on and on. Because I won't hear it. But if she drives the truck, she's only here like 2 days out of the week. So, like, not
used to drive me crazy. Somebody come in and tell you, "Don't you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's time to get up. I don't want to." Can you turn it off while you're up?
I try to plan my stuff. Like, I try not to plan anything too because it makes me anxious, and that adds to it. It just, why am I like this?
It's a shame the Bigfoot can't give you a wake up call.
We got similar traits.
Maybe that's why I sleep so good. I just feel safe. I don't like, you know, people are like, "Aren't you worried about them?" Like, no. Why would I be worried about them? They've been obviously living in the woods just fine without any help from anybody.
If they were to be worried about you, you would have been dead by now.
Like, that's another thing. Like, I know, like, if I've lived here all my life, you know, there was a few years I lived in North Carolina when I was in my 20s, but like, we've owned this property since I was like 13 days old. We moved in. The day that I was being born was the day they signed the papers to the house. So, yeah. So this is like, it's a part of me, you know, this whole place is. So, and the things around it, I'm here to not only, like, I'm not here to protect the land. The land's like here to protect me, and I'm grateful to it, you know. I'm a part of it. I don't own it, really. We don't really own the land.
You know, it makes me, I get so discouraged when I have guests like you. Like you're probably one of the better guests I've ever had, especially with the Bigfoot topic. But whenever somebody says, "Well, I got to go to work tomorrow," I'm like, "Well, you live with Bigfoot. Why are you going to work?" I get so sad. I'm like, "You're just a normal human, but with Bigfoot there."
That's another thing. People they'll like. You can ask me anything, like anything that I can answer, I'll try to answer. Like, you know, I just don't think stuff happens and occurs all the time. Like living with them, it's kind of just, I feel sometimes I feel so nonchalant about it. Like, no, it's just like that, whatever, you know, but it's not like that. Like, I don't know what to say sometimes. And I had to have people ask me questions. So, you know, and I do appreciate somebody who can like really, you know, just ask me good questions. Keeps me, you know.
I try not to be a damn documentary like some of these folks. Like, so what do you think they are? The Gigantopithecus of old, or do you think they?
I mean, if we had to go down that line, you would have to start all the way from them, like theories on Earth. Like everything's a theory. You don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what I think I know. You know, I mean, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. But that doesn't mean I know.
Are you in the like they can clip in and out paranormal whatever that is? Like the portals are like they're flesh and blood here, but not.
Yeah, like I think we could use the portals. Like I hands down all day long. If we lived in the woods for as long as they have, because they've been here forever, if we had never disconnected from that, we would be able to use the woods too. We would be able to use the energy in the woods too. We just can't because we've been brainwashed and for years and years, and then we were told that sort of thinking was an abomination,
Wrong.
and they would, burn you at the stake for it because you were a witch, obviously, because you could use the earth, the thing you live on, that takes care of you. She's our, that's another thing. You have to really be connected with the earth, and you have to really care about the earth to want to, to really start. Like, if you really, if you really want these things to respect you and to show themselves to you, you've got to start there. You start with, just caring about the earth, like really caring about like being out in the woods, caring about like, the trash in the creek, the trash in the woods. Like every time I go into the woods, I take a trash bag with me, and especially because I have this creek in front of my house, I get all sorts of crazy things, thrown into the thing. So I always take a trash bag and at least pick up a bag of trash, and the universe always rewards me with really cool stuff, like a family Bigfoot. I know that they're out there because I've spent so much time just being in the woods with the earth that I get, all these bones, something tells me where they are. I found an old marble, a World War II German sheath for the knife. Because I know it was German because it has the ball at the end. I took it to the knife experts. I got friends, but it's got the ball at the
end. Sorry, I had a text right when you said that. It made my ear go beep.
And then I got there was an arrowhead, a bird tip arrowhead, and the marble, the sheath, the arrowhead, and a bottom of an old 1972, because you could tell by the dates with the bottles on the old Pepsi jars, or the old Pepsi bottles. You could track it down to the year or the date. So it was like a 1972 Pepsi bottle or something like that, or 1977. I can't remember. But Pepsi bottle, all in a pile, all in this one place, like all just sitting there. But I don't know. I don't know if it was left for me, or if it was just like a portal that had opened up and all been dropped there at the same time.
That's wild as shit. Weren't we just talking about this today? About bottles?
Yeah.
Like on our comment sections. I find stuff like that with all those all the time back in the day. Like the piles of the most vintage bottles in the woods.
Well, I find, the last time I was in the woods, this wasn't the last time I was in the woods, I found probably 30 different kinds of mushrooms, which was really cool because I don't know anything about mushrooms, but they were all really pretty and really cool. And then I found a top, is it ceramic? The old
porcelain
jars, porcelain, yeah, to the old moonshine jars, the top.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a bell jar.
Yeah, I found for like the mason jar. So I found one of those in completely non-shaved, not like non-scathed, like just great condition. And I found it in an old turnkey, an old clock key to an old clock in the woods.
I bet
all kinds of cool stuff out here. And there's
they've got some kind of land of the lost.
Huh?
What did you say? 19 what?
There's a 1947 Chevy in the woods out there that's grown up into a tree. It's pretty cool.
That'd be a place for a photo shoot right there.
Well, the back window is still intact. You know what I mean? And it's an original back window to it. It's pretty cool.
I just wonder what kind of land of the lost they got going on, because it seems like there's a lot of stories about them finding stuff like that.
That's exactly what
vintage jack.
Well, I also wonder if they can. I don't want to call it time travel per se, but maybe a different dimension is on a different time than ours.
Well, that's the thing about time, though. Time doesn't go forward or backwards. Time's just there. It's like time stacked upon each other. So if you think about it like that, I can time jump sometimes. I call it time jumping because I don't stay there for too long. I think I get freaked out. Like, I get freaked out when it happens. And that's why it's like time jumping to me. It's not really time travel because I didn't travel there for too long. But like, you can go back and forth. Like, if you were in the right mindset, you can really, it's weird. You can really astral project, and
yes, you can.
And, yeah, it's weird. Things are going to get a whole lot weirder for people who have never, and I'm not putting down on anybody because it's not fair, because people they've never been able to have an open mind, because a lot of people, especially in this region, because the
media.
it's just everything. You're not allowed to tell them. My dogs are messing with stuff. You're not allowed to have thoughts. You weren't allowed to question what, you're not allowed to question certain things in certain areas. So you're not allowed to have open thoughts about like energy and about, just things that are there. Imagine how much we would know now if we knew what we knew then, know now back then, like if we were just open and raised around it. If I knew about energy and if we knew about portals and aliens, and we knew all this stuff, like how much easier, it would be growing up. It would be,
or better.
It'd be easier to be open-minded. You would at least be open-minded enough to be able to, have that, just to have that knowledge of things. That's
it
important.
Feels weird to be that way though, around other people that aren't. It feels weird to be just open to it all, because I'm open to it. Nothing ever happens, but I see angel numbers a lot.
Oh, see, you got messages, and maybe it just hasn't been the right time for you.
I need some LSD. That's what I need.
I can get that for you.
Open that.
It's funny you talk about the angel numbers. I thought of you the other day when I was refunding the battery at Walmart, because I looked down at the screen and there was the number again, and I'm like, weren't we just talking about this?
It happens, man.
Yeah, the guy, I just kind of giggled. The guy looked at me and I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't understand. So
I've tested them a lot, and I think I've been told within the last week that to trust them like a stepping stone in the water instead of just a guide. I think I've been told that just like pursue it hard.
Yeah, like numerology is a wild thing out there. Like they can map the whole universe with numbers. Like, and that's why binary code, that's why it's so important. And it's crazy if you think about it. Just, in a long scheme of things, you start to think about it, it gets overwhelming, and it is overwhelming. And the more enlightened you become, the more crazier you are going to feel. So if you feel like you are batshit crazy now, the more crazy you feel, the better. You're on the right track. The more like you almost feel like disassociated with things, but you're not. Yeah. It just feels that way. That's enlightenment. It's kind of like one of those things. It's one of those journeys you have to kind of take alone too. So it's something that you have to, take personal time to yourself, which I'm sure with you, with the family, with kids, it's really hard for you to like really pursue that because you've got so much else going on, but you need to take that hour a day and meditate. Start meditating, looking into it. Like
that's my commute meditation.
Holler at me if you ever need help with the angel numbers and the things like that. I can read your cards for you if you want me to.
I may have to one day because I want to talk angel numbers to somebody, but I don't want to broadcast it. I don't know if that just negates them. Maybe it doesn't, but
well, yeah. You can
like telling your birthday wish. I don't know if it's the same thing.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's also a lot to do with intent.
Well, you have a lot of different numbers that are your numbers, like that have a lot to do with you. Like even down to the time that you were born, has a lot to do with you.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so even the coordinates to where you're born have a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? All that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so you have your three big, you have your zodiac, and you have your three big, and that has a lot to do with personality and stuff. Not everything's written in stone, but then you also have like your birth date, and your birth date has a number that comes with it. You add your birthday all down to one number, and that's your path number. And people have a path number, and it's so crazy accurate when you read it.
Yeah.
About yourself usually.
You told me that last time we were talking. I forgot what it was. Path number.
Yeah, it's just So we can do that. We can do that when we're not, doing a show or something. So it's a more private, more intimate like thing, like where you can sit
definitely
down.
Not over.
Yeah, and have it because it's one thing people jump on there and they want their cards read, which is really cool. You can do it for people. I use a pen, like if people want to, if they want to talk to the dead, like when I do that, I use the pendulum a lot because the pendulum will ask yes or no questions, and it's really easy to see and use, you know what I mean? It's harder to read when you're doing somebody's cards and they're wanting like a message from like ancestors or something like that, to read the story that you're supposed to get properly from them, if that makes sense.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you can just ask your own yes or no questions, and I can be the port, and I don't have to worry about like any of the rest of the stuff, because words are hard and it's hard to explain. For me, I'm usually always like spot on, but it's really hard sometimes to get the words out, and sometimes I'll have to say it out loud, and the first thing I say won't exactly be accurate, but I need to go back and revamp it. You know what I mean? Like you're just talking out loud, so when you get the feel of it, so.
You don't have to do like a kick your head back and change your voice. Like,
No, I mean, I get the theatrics. I mean, no, if I do that, I'm probably just like, we're good. I do
theatrics.
smoke, so, yeah.
Roll your eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah, unless I hit my my vape pen too hard or something.
Sonya's not here.
Dave's not here, man. Yeah, no, we're good.
Dave's not here.
But you know what? But I had, what? The last Halloween, I did my first kind of like group seance where it was like more than just like one person, or more than like two people, because I think I've done it. But I had a few people here last year at my house, and I did. My friend's uncle had just died, and he was like, hey, would you contact my uncle for me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, everybody wants me to talk to somebody for them tonight anyway. Let's go ahead and do this. And it was near Halloween. It wasn't Halloween. It was just when the veil has come down, and it's just near Halloween. It's just the veil becomes thinner, So I sat down and we all got in a circle, and I used my pendulum. I used one of my dad's rocks that he gave me, and I have a Tree of Life pendulum that I use. So I put it all together, got ready, sat down, and started started to try to talk to the spirits. And as soon as I started, the pendulum just immediately went crazy. And not only did it start swinging back and forth, it started to rise. Like it went up in the air and was like somebody was pulling it out of my hand in front of everybody. And I was like, whoa. I was like, well, that's new. And I wasn't scared. I was just like, whoa, that's new. And my friends got so freaked out. They jumped up and scattered. And about that time, the wind blew the door open in my house and blew through my house and blew shit off my walls. It blew, it just blew everywhere. And the wind was blowing and the chain was still trying to, something had a hold of it. And I had never tried like that with a group of people, near in that time, I've done a lot of things when the veil was thin, like other things, mostly just personal things, but I'd never done it for the group of people. So I didn't realize how strong that was going to be with everybody being there. And yeah,
out of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went into everybody jumped up and ran out, and they were freaking out and telling me to stop, and I couldn't stop it at that point. There was nothing that I was doing. I wasn't doing anything. I had just said hello, and that I think it was the fact that the spirits knew, everybody knew. So everybody knew that they could talk to me. So they bum rushed my house so fast, just all the spirits did. And that's what caused the door to break open, and they were knocking stuff off the walls. And I came into my living room, and my friend is screaming. She's screaming, and she's like, you got to get in here. Get in here. And I was just like, what? And I came into the living room, and in the chair that I'm sitting in, there was a box in it, and it was floating over. It was just floating. And as soon as I saw it, in my mind, which is weird, I saw it immediately fell. And, and then I said out loud, I said, well, will you please calm down? And everything calmed down. Everything just kind of went just back.
Your friend saw the box floating too?
Yeah, everybody saw the box floating. Right. So, but
how did this go back to work the next day?
Well, this was what was weird about it. It was when I was real little, I used to have a reoccurring dream. I've lived in this house all my life, but I would have a reoccurring dream that I was right here in this spot floating all the time. And I would just be floating here. And I would have that dream that I was a baby and I was wrapped up in swaddle cloths and I was just a baby, and I would be floating right here in this same spot that the box is floating in. So when I walked into the living room, the first thing I saw was me as a baby floating in the thing, not the box. In my mind, I saw me as a baby floating there. But then, it was just a momentary, and it's because it was the same spot. It was just so, it made me feel like I was in the right place. You know what I mean? I come full circle to a place that I already knew I would be.
Not to quote Brad Pitt, but what's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
It was actually a box of birthday cards and silverware that my mom got from her mother. I only know that because the box is still in the living room here.
Yeah, well, that, and I think
Maybe
you have to look at it. What's in the box? That's why
What's
I'll
in
never
the
be allowed.
box?
I'll never be allowed to the seance. I'll make all the references. Like, would you stop making Ghostbusters references?
No, you should totally do that. Like I talk through movies. Like you
Don't
can get
cross the
stuff.
streams.
You can totally talk through that. Like I thought she was gonna do some Meet Joe Black stuff. I was like, I was looking back to see if I was.
Meet Joe Black.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Mighty Joe Young.
No, this is another Brad Pitt movie where he gets hit by a bus and he comes back in a different body or something. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. I was
just
thinking of
remember
the
when he got
gorilla
hit by a
movie.
bus.
I was thinking of the gorilla movie. Never mind. Meet Joe Black. Yeah.
That's Mighty Joe Young and Meet Joe
Mighty
Black.
Joe. I thought you were making a Bigfoot reference. Like, don't make it around them. They get mad.
No, that's another thing
They're not
about
Brad
calling
Pitt
him
fans.
Bigfoot. Like, I try not to call him Bigfoot because that's kind of like it's like a horrible term. Like,
Well, what's their, what do they call themselves?
I don't know what they call themselves. I've never asked. So I don't know.
Fred, Bob, Tom.
I would have to sit down and ask some questions. Like, let's hear history. Where'd you come from?
Well,
Where'd you go?
like,
Cotton Eye Joe. I don't know.
well,
Why do you smell like a skunk?
Well, only mine do not smell that way. There is a rogue male that comes through in like February, March, and he smells like burnt coffee and a polecat. Like it's him.
He works construction.
It'll make your eyes water.
He's been at work.
I don't know where he's been walking. I don't know where he's going, but the smell, like I get that oniony smell in my arms too, but not like that.
You think it's like a cocker spaniel that gets on a dead something somebody hit out in the road and he just wallers in it?
I think that they have glands that they can make smell like that. I think it's like their armpits. They're just like, you ever
like
seen
a
that?
tarsa gland on a deer?
Or like All Real Monsters. Did you ever watch All Real Monsters?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy. Yes, Crumb. Crumb is his name with the eyeballs. Yeah, Crumb. He always did the little armpit thingy. Yeah. See,
I was
yes,
there.
you were there.
I'm 40 years old. I know all about All Real Monsters. I told my 9-year-old yesterday over breakfast, I'm like, this shit you watch on TV now is nothing. And so we used to get home at 4 p.m. and watch a show scared and anything that's came out in this century called Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I was talking about that like 2 days ago because there was some
scary show.
Song. Yes, I mean, it wasn't nothing like the new when they revamped it and stuff like that. And they have some other stories, but it wasn't like watching it, like on Nickelodeon. Then I don't know.
Y'all don't know nothing about Alex Mack.
The
Secret Life of Alex Mack.
That was the best, man. She could like liquefy her a door and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like she could
like a Jedi.
She was like the Terminator. She reminded me of the Terminator 2. It's the same liquid.
Yeah. T-1000. And the government the whole time. That was the funniest.
You know what's really funny they said about like the people that like were born in the 80s or grew up in the 90s or born in the 80s and 90s that we are the special people that we're supposed to be here. Like a lot of us are starseeds or indigo children or rainbow children or whatever you want to call us. But we're here to help. We're the last generation that's going to be like really here to help change things. And we're supposed to be, we're supposed to have really big hearts and want to help people. But then, after being raised in the 90s and everything was so awesome until like the creeping up on Y2K there. And then after that, it was like everything changed. And maybe that was the real apocalypse. Everything shut down. Everything seemed to have changed after that, like immensely.
I know that I feel like I was raised like simultaneously. I mean, I feel like I was raised simultaneously in the Great Depression, in the Vietnam era, and in the space age. Like, and even though I was born in the 80s, because I was raised up way out in the woods, and I never met anybody that wasn't like 80 years old for a long time. Like my influences were all like World War I veterans. Yeah. Until I got like in school and got to being around people, and like I started getting sentient,
Well, you don't realize, and you know what's so crazy is because those old people were street smart. Like I could go out anywhere now, and I know I live out in the country and I live in the sticks. I was born and raised here. I don't, not a city kid, but I'm street smart. Like I'm not dumb. Like, and I don't know if it's weird how street smart I am and never lived in the streets. You know what I mean? And it's weird the things that you know. and the things that you see. I don't know. You grow up, like, I don't know. It messes with you growing up in the country when it's, life is a little bit slower out here, but you learn some things, you learn to listen.
Moving to Tuscaloosa and thinking, I'm like, who are these people in like the big city? I think Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a big city. I was like, this is the wildest. Like, I look like country mouse, city mouse out there.
Yeah, I moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina after living out here, and it was a different experience. Like, it took me like 3 years to get used to the sound of the traffic by my house. I would wake up, somebody's here, immediately. And it was just,
it's like little Austin.
It took me a long time. It took me about 3 years. No kidding. To get over, just to sleep through the people stopping at the stop sign and rolling on because I could hear their car.
Just the other people. That's hard to get used to.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah.
It took me a while. This will sound funny. And we'll wrap it up here in just a second. My pizza's done and Gemstones is coming on. So I have prior appointments.
Priorities.
Yeah. But
he's hungry.
But I grew up, like, it took me a long time to realize that hearing gunshots were something you shouldn't be used to.
Oh yeah, no. Like
I was like, that's just a gunshot. A gunshot. I hear them all day.
What are you talking about? I'm in Atlanta. I hear them too. Huh.
Yeah, but it's for the wrong reason. Like where I grew up, you just hear a gunshot. Somebody be bored and they empty their magazine.
Right. So around where I live, it's not about like hearing the gunshots. About where did the gunshots come from?
Yeah, you just hear them
like
in the distance.
On the land, like there's that, But you know what I mean. You like once you live out here for so long, a lot of the way the sound carries, so you can pinpoint, but like
just you can tell it's across the ridge or something.
Yeah. But I worry about my neighbors because, like, I can stand and about fake. Like if I was standing in my front yard, I could about turn a circle, almost. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. I could about turn a circle and shoot a gun off anywhere and not hit a house.
Don't do that, though. You never know. Go through a tree.
Well, I mean, it's a ridge. I live in the holler. I live in the lowest point in my town. I'm the valley girl.
That might be why you have Bigfoot over there.
Yeah, I mean, I live like next to the lake too. So my neighbors on one side, they have 300 or 400 acres over here. That is, they're a Earth Literacy Center. So they are conserving the earth over here. And on the other side, I have the lake. So on both sides, I'm pretty much surrounded by plenty of places to go and lots of water. Yeah.
It sounds like a Bigfoot haven. It's like if you were hunting them, you'd have a place set up for them. You got a giant ridge. You got a lake.
And that's the thing about like they got all the elements here too. So a lot of that has, I think it's a lot of the reason why they're here because the energy's stronger here. And there's something about the land here, and I can't quite put I can't describe it. I don't know.
I'll say one thing: the county you live in, that area with the mountain running right in the middle of it, that's got to count for something. Mm-hmm. That's wild looking.
And yeah, I'll send you my address sometime, and I'll show you kind of like what I'm talking about being in between everything. Like if it floods down here and my creek floods, I can literally grab a tube and just ride the creek down to the lake where everybody goes down to fish and jumps off a bridge down there.
Take it down, ride down to the bridge and have somebody drive you back.
Yes. You don't know how many times, it's so hard to you have to get it when it floods. So you can't just, you don't know when it's going to come. You just have to, It's hard to get friends to just want to go do that.
That sounds like a pastime I would get on board with.
Right. And you could do it all day long as long as you had a shuttle back and forth, You could ride probably a couple times during the day. And if I knew if it would flood and stay flooded, I could charge people, $10 a tube all day long.
You could damn that sumbitch up.
It's just that for water. If I could they can't put city water in here because they can't dig through the creek to get the water over here, which has saved me some,
That's probably for the best. That's not a blessing.
It's no true. Yeah, it saved me from having to drink the fluoride. And you know what's really cool is like everybody that was on this that had wells down through here, because there's still some still some cabins up behind me that have wells too. They all have sulfur water. The house beside me here that's up my driveway, it's like, you know, 300 yards away, it has sulfur water. We don't have sulfur water. Everybody else around us does, but we don't. So that's another good thing. I don't know why I was mentioning that. It just seemed important.
I love the smell of the sulfur water whenever it gets dry in the summer. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I've been out to Yellowstone. So, God, if you're out in the middle of like Yellowstone and you're out looking at the hot springs and whatnot, and it starts to rain, you can guarantee that you're about to get clouded in what is now just a mist of rotten egg smelling water that you're going to have to breathe in. It gets in your hair, your clothes, it soaks in your nose.
That Yellowstone smells something else.
Yeah. Then having to walk through it, having to try to get, and what's so crazy,
it's warm and hot and sticky.
Yes, and my first year, I forgot my shoes, and I had to travel for 18 days across the country with my flip-flops. Oh, it was a hell of a hike through the Great Arches. Oh my God, Arches National Park. I didn't make it to the Great Arch. Not at all. My whole family did, but I didn't. I heat stroked out and tried to limp back to the car, but I had my flip-flops on. I fell and get my leg up real bad. Now I'm bleeding and sick and sweating and trying not to pass out. And I get to the car, and both of the front, or the RV, and both of the front doors are locked. I didn't try the side door. Side door was open the whole time. I didn't know that then. I don't even want to talk about it. But there's nowhere to go, and I don't know how long they're going to be gone, and I'm trying not to pass out. There's no shade in the parking lot. But there at the Great Arches, there's this little place where this guy used to live. He made this little mud hut, and there's a stagnant pond that smells totally awful, and there's that little mud hut. But there's like a piece of shade there beside the mud hut, beside the little stagnant pond. So I just crawled into the shade and was sitting there like dry heaving and sweating and trying not to pass out. I'm bleeding and crying at this point. And people were just walking by like, I look like I just crawled out of the desert. It was so awful.
Like a Dave Pilates victim over there.
It was so awful. And then when my parents showed up, there was this old lady coming towards me. Like you could tell she was coming to check on me because she was like upset. And I was like trying not to make eye contact with her because I didn't want her coming over to me. But my dad's coming down the trail and he's horse laughing. My dad is horse laughing at me. He was like, this lady's looking at him like, how are you going to laugh at this poor girl? You know what I mean? And then she didn't realize it was my dad at first, and it's like, she's just looking at him like she's about to run through him. And I was just like, oh, it's weird and awkward. And he's like, what happened to you? I was like, I forgot my shoes and I fell. Okay. I forgot my flip-flops. Not desert terrain. That's okay.
That's a true Jerusalem cruisers.
I did. I was like, I about came back like Jason and the Argonauts with like one sandal. Awful. And then what was so crazy? Like 6 months later, we got to go to the Florida Keys, and we get down there to the Keys, and guess what? Sonya forgot her flip flops and only brought her tennis shoes. Yeah. I was like, at least I was at the beach. I could get a cheap pair of flip flops, go around barefoot or whatever. But yeah, I was like, the first thing I put in my car now when I'm packing is usually my shoes.
Oh, yeah, I take 4 or 5 pair with me when I go anywhere.
Well, I mean, like, could you imagine being a girl and going out west to Hollywood and only bringing the one crappy pair of flip flops you had on when you left the house? Those were like the run around flip flops. Like I don't even. I felt like a hobo in Vegas.
Thought you said you were about to feel like a hoe in Vegas. I'm like, well,
yeah. Well, it did get so hot that I ended up getting sick again because apparently I can't handle the heat well. And yeah, and the water down there, like they don't tell you that the water that you see those really cool shows. The shows look cool, but the water is stagnant, and it smells like you know what it smells like. It smells like stagnant water, and then it'll blow and blow on you, and you just know if it smells like that, how dirty it must be. And yeah,
it's hobo pee water. Yeah,
right.
That's where the hobos bathe. Yeah, that's where the hobos bathe down there.
fight the street people handing you those little porn slips. You know, you have to
Oh my
fight them
God.
literally. Like, please, I don't care.
And with Hobo Pea Water, we will end this episode.
Good time. Good place.
Sonya,
You
thanks
can
for being
quote me
on.
that later.
Glenn, thanks for being on again.
Hey,
I'll
I
see you
didn't do
tomorrow.
anything. I just
We
looked
Thanks,
at you.
thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
It was great. Yeah. Hobo
Yep.
Pea Water. Okay. Peace out.
Word.